What happens when one of Hollywood's most enigmatic stars faces off with a legendary television host in front of millions? Picture this. The bright studio lights of The View illuminate every corner of the stage, the audience buzzing with anticipation, their whispers building into a palpable hum of expectation. Cameras swivel like predatory birds, capturing every detail, every flicker of emotion, every subtle glance, every heartbeat. And there, in the center, stands Kristen Stewart, her cool exterior barely masking the storm inside. Across from her, the formidable Whoopi Goldberg leans forward, her gaze sharp, her words ready to land with precision. Before we dive into this explosive moment, hit that subscribe button for Stage View and give this video a like. Comment below what you think will happen in this confrontation, because trust me, you don't want to miss a second. It starts innocuously enough. The show opens with cheerful banter, laughter bouncing across the set. Whoopi's voice, warm yet commanding, carries across the studio. Kristen, you've been all over the world promoting your latest project. Tell us, what's been the most challenging part of stepping into such a complex role? The audience claps politely, leaning in, waiting for Kristen's response. Kristen tilts her head slightly, a hint of that signature smirk playing on her lips, eyes darting briefly to the cameras, then back at the host. Her voice is steady, but underneath it lies a tension that's almost electric. Honestly, she begins, it's balancing expectations. Everyone has an idea of who I am, what I should be doing, and it's exhausting sometimes. A subtle murmur ripples through the audience. Whoopi, sensing an opening, tilts her head and leans in, the question veering sharply now, laced with that trademark Goldberg edge. Exhausting? You're making millions. You're at the top of your game, Kristen. Isn't it a little indulgent to complain about expectations? The words hang in the air like a thrown gauntlet. The audience stiffens, and the studio lights seem to burn hotter, spotlighting the tension like a physical presence. Kristen's hand brushes her hair back, a small, almost imperceptible gesture, but in this charged atmosphere, it speaks volumes. Her gaze meets Whoopi's, unflinching, unwavering. And then, in a voice that's calm but unmistakably firm, she says, "Indulgent isn't the word I'd use. It's human. And it's frustrating when people assume they know your experience just because they see a headline or a role you play." A ripple of reaction sweeps through the audience. Some nod, some gasp. The cameras catch every angle, the close-ups emphasizing the growing friction. Whoopi leans back slightly, raising an eyebrow, her voice sharpening with disbelief. Human. You're Hollywood royalty. You're in the limelight. You think you've got struggles that people can't even imagine. Here, Kristen pauses, letting the weight of the words sink in. And then something shifts. Her usually controlled demeanor cracks, just a fraction, but enough to make the audience lean forward in suspense. "Yes," she replies slowly, deliberately. "I do. And maybe if people listened instead of judging, they'd understand that fame doesn't erase the pressure, the anxiety, or the reality of being constantly scrutinized." The tension is palpable now. The audience is on the edge of their seats. The air seems charged, thick with the collision of personalities, of generational perspectives, of Hollywood's glittering facades versus the raw vulnerability behind them. Whoopi's expression hardens, her next words delivered with the sharpness of a whip. "Kristen, I've been in the business a long time. I've seen people deal with pressure. I've been pressure. And let me tell you, complaining about it doesn't make it less real for anyone else. It just sounds like whining sometimes." The audience reacts audibly, a collective intake of breath. Kristen's jaw tightens slightly. Her eyes, normally a mask of enigmatic calm, flash with a mixture of hurt and defiance. For a moment, the world narrows down to just the two of them, locked in a battle of words, of perception, of principle. And then her voice cuts through the tension, smooth but unyielding. "Maybe it sounds like that to you. But maybe that's because you're not listening. Not really. People, all people, deserve to have their struggles seen without someone telling them how real they are or aren't." A beat of silence follows. The studio audience is caught between gasps and murmurs, the tension so thick it could be sliced with a knife. The cameras capture Kristen's slight nod, as if she's grounding herself for what's coming next. Whoopi shifts in her seat, a rare flicker of surprise crossing her face. There's a pause, just long enough for the gravity of the confrontation to settle over the set. This is the moment where everything changes. Kristen isn't just answering a question. She's setting the stage for something bigger, something that will ripple far beyond the studio. The audience leans in, sensing that a boundary has been crossed. This isn't a typical interview. This is a confrontation, a clash of perspectives, of personalities, of eras. And then, as if the universe itself had slowed down to let this instant resonate, Kristen leans forward slightly, her tone a razor-sharp blend of honesty and fire. I respect you, Whoopi. I do. But don't tell me what my experience is, because you don't live it. And don't speak over me when I'm telling you. That is my truth. A shiver passes through the audience. Cameras zoom in on Whoopi's reaction, capturing a rare moment of hesitation, a flash of reconsideration. The other hosts glance at each other, sensing the intensity, the electricity that now pulses through the set. Even the crew behind the cameras are silent, caught in the gravity of this verbal collision. This is the hook, the moment that will have headlines tomorrow and hashtags trending by tonight. The tension between Hollywood's quiet rebel and one of television's most commanding voices has erupted on live television. And the audience, both in the studio and at home, can feel it in their bones. What happens next? How does Whoopi respond to Kristen's unflinching stand? And what will this exchange ignite across social media, in interviews, and within the Hollywood machine itself? The answers are coming, and you don't want to miss a single second. The studio lights seem brighter now, almost too bright, as if magnifying every tiny motion, every twitch of emotion. Kristen sits upright, her hands clasped loosely in her lap, but the energy radiating from her is anything but calm. Across from her, Whoopi Goldberg's usual confidence wavers for just a second. A crack in the armor, barely noticeable, yet the audience senses it. The atmosphere is electric, a live wire ready to snap. Kristen, Whoopi begins, her voice lower now, tinged with a mix of caution and curiosity. I hear you. I get that it's not easy. But you have to understand, from where I'm sitting, from where anyone's sitting, sometimes it looks like the whining outweighs the work. The words hang heavy, deliberate, almost accusatory. Kristen's eyes sharpen, a steely calm taking over the flicker of hurt that had crossed them earlier. Her voice is soft at first, measured, but every syllable lands like a deliberate strike. It's not whining, and it's not for show. It's about acknowledging reality, about being honest about what it feels like to live inside a world that tells you your value is tied to the applause you get or the numbers in your box office. A collective murmur rises from the audience, some nodding in understanding, others wide-eyed, unsure what to make of this unfiltered honesty. The tension tightens, constricting the room, as if the studio itself has shrunk around the two of them. Whoopi leans back slightly, crossing her arms, her expression shifting from stern authority to subtle disbelief. You think fame protects you? That being on the big screen somehow shields you from pressure? Sweetheart, I've been through worse than you can imagine, and trust me, nobody's listening then either. Complaining doesn't change that. The words are like sparks against tinder. Kristen's fingers tap lightly against the edge of the table, but it's more than a gesture. It's a countdown to the moment she decides not to hold back. Nobody's asking for protection, she says, voice rising ever so slightly, her calm veneer giving way to raw clarity. I'm saying that recognition, empathy, even from people like you, matters. That's all. It doesn't make me less hardworking or less grateful. It makes me human. The camera swings sharply to the audience, capturing faces frozen in a mix of awe and tension. Some are leaning forward, clutching the edge of their seats. Others have hands over mouths, caught in disbelief at the magnitude of what's unfolding. The room feels suspended in time, each heartbeat amplified. Whoopi pauses. There's a fraction of a second where her formidable presence seems to waver. Then, leaning forward, her eyes narrow slightly, her voice cutting through the charged silence. Human? Kristen, honey, everyone's human. But not everyone has the spotlight shining on them every day, dissecting every move, every word, every outfit. You think that pressure is something you invented? It's a privilege. Own it. Kristen's jaw tightens, a subtle shift in her posture signaling that the storm inside her is now fully awake. The cool, almost indifferent exterior that the public sees in magazines and interviews is gone. Now it's raw, unfiltered Kristen. Her voice is calm, but there's a hard edge that reverberates through the studio. Privilege doesn't erase struggle. And owning something doesn't mean staying silent when it feels suffocating. Don't tell me my struggle isn't real because you think it looks small from your vantage point. A gasp ripples through the audience. The other co-hosts exchange glances, caught between the instinct to intervene and the recognition that this moment is bigger than any prepared question or safe conversation. The tension is unbearable, thick enough to taste, and every word is magnified. Whoopi leans back in her chair again, her hands gripping the armrests, and for the first time, there's a flicker of uncertainty in her expression. "You're intense," she admits, the words almost escaping before she recovers. "I didn't expect that. You speak like every word has been rehearsed, but I know it's not." Kristen allows a small, almost imperceptible nod. Her eyes soften just slightly, the fire still there but tempered by something else, a mixture of relief and defiance. "It's not rehearsed," she whispers, leaning in. "It's lived. Every day. And maybe if more people actually listened instead of judging, conversations like this wouldn't feel like a battlefield." The camera cuts to the audience again. Some are clapping softly, uncertain but supportive. Some sit in stunned silence, caught in the gravity of the exchange. The energy in the room has shifted. What began as a standard interview has transformed into a collision of worlds. The old guard versus the new, authority versus vulnerability, perception versus lived experience. Whoopi's next words come carefully measured, almost a step back from the fire of her usual persona. "I hear you. I hear you more than you think. But, Kristen, you've got to understand something. Words can hurt. Words can heal. But if we're going to have this conversation, we have to face the truth about how it looks from both sides." Kristen leans back now, her posture relaxed but her gaze unwavering. The tension remains, simmering beneath the surface, like a storm that hasn't broken yet. "Then let's face it," she says softly, almost challengingly. "Let's face it without filters, without assumptions, without the constant need to define whose struggle is valid. Let's face it honestly. That's all I'm asking." The audience shifts in their seats, the room caught in a collective inhale, bracing for what comes next. The other hosts glance at each other, sensing that the conversation has gone beyond entertainment. It's now a moment of cultural and emotional reckoning, a live display of honesty meeting authority head-on. And just when it seems the air might settle, Kristen leans forward, her voice dropping into a tone so clear, so piercing, it slices through the tension like a blade. "I'm done being polite when what I have to say matters. If you want to hear it, you will. And if not, that's on you." A stunned silence follows, broken only by the faint rustle of audience members shifting, the hum of the cameras, the distant click of a microphone. The moment lingers, suspended, every eye locked on Whoopi Goldberg, every heartbeat syncing with the uncertainty of what she will say next. The stage is set. The confrontation has escalated beyond simple disagreement. Lines have been drawn. Words have become weapons and shields. And the audience, both in the studio and across millions of screens, knows they are witnessing something unforgettable. The next move is crucial. Whoopi Goldberg, a titan of television, facing Kristen Stewart, the queen of subtle rebellion, each aware that a single word could tip this exchange into outright conflict or mutual understanding. The tension is a living thing now, breathing through the room, pulsing in every heartbeat. This is not just an interview. This is history in the making. And in part 3, the confrontation will reach its peak. The words will hit harder, the emotions rawer, and the stakes higher than ever before. The studio feels alive, as if the very air has thickened around Kristen Stewart and Whoopi Goldberg. Every eye in the room is fixed on them, every camera angle capturing the minuscule flickers of emotion. The twitch of a lip, the narrowing of eyes, the subtle shifts in posture that betray the storm beneath the calm surface. The audience, once murmuring politely, now sits in taut anticipation, leaning forward as though they can physically feel the electricity crackling across the set. Whoopi adjusts her glasses, her gaze sharp, her voice even but charged. "Kristen, I get it. You've had experiences that are intense, complicated. But don't mistake intensity for insight. Not everything is a battle to fight. Sometimes it's about how you carry it, not how loudly you declare it." Kristen tilts her head, a small smirk forming, part irony, part defiance. Her eyes lock onto Whoopi's, unflinching. "Carry it? You mean like pretending it doesn't exist? Like putting on a smile because that's what people expect? I've been carrying it my whole life. And maybe it's loud because silence wasn't an option anymore." The audience shifts, some gasping softly, others whispering. The tension is palpable, thick enough to feel on the skin. The other hosts glance at each other, sensing that this exchange has transcended casual television banter. It has become a raw, unfiltered confrontation between generations, between experience and perception, between authority and truth. Whoopi leans forward, the legendary edge in her voice returning. "Kristen, honey, there's nothing wrong with speaking your truth. But be careful. Words have power. They can inspire, sure, but they can also burn bridges faster than you think." Kristen exhales slowly, as if she's been holding the storm in her chest and now she's letting it out. Her tone sharpens, confident, fearless. I don't care about burning bridges if those bridges are built on assumptions and judgment. I'm not here to comfort anyone's ego. I'm here to speak honestly. If that's dangerous to you, that's on you. The audience leans in closer, the hum of excitement building like a crescendo. Every camera angle captures the tension, the almost imperceptible rise and fall of Kristen's chest, the flicker in Whoopi's eyes as she absorbs the words. The air feels charged, crackling with the collision of two formidable personalities, two worlds colliding in real time. Then, in a tone that pierces the room like glass shattering, Kristen leans in slightly, her voice unwavering. I've spent years being told I should smile more, act different, be different, and now I'm telling you, this is me. Not your version of me. Not the one the press paints. This is my truth. And if you can't hear it, if you can't respect it, then maybe this conversation isn't for you. The audience reacts audibly, a mixture of stunned silence and quiet applause. Some faces reflect awe, some disbelief, some the thrill of watching history unfold live. The energy is palpable. It's no longer just an interview. It's a cultural event, a clash of power, personality, and authenticity. Whoopi sits back slightly, caught in the force of Kristen's words. There's a pause, a rare moment of vulnerability from a woman who rarely falters in front of a camera. Her voice softens, quieter, almost reflective. Kristen, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect you. But you're right. Words matter. Experience matters. And maybe I've been too quick to dismiss what I couldn't see. Kristen's eyes soften, a small nod acknowledging the shift. That's all I'm asking. To be seen, to be heard. That's it. For a moment, the tension seems to ease, but only slightly. There's still electricity in the air, the lingering adrenaline of confrontation, the weight of words that could reverberate far beyond the studio. The other hosts exchange glances, realizing that they've just witnessed something extraordinary, a rare moment where celebrity culture collided with raw human honesty. Then the unexpected happens. Kristen, emboldened by the moment, leans back in her chair, her signature smirk returning, but now layered with satisfaction. And just so we're clear, she adds, a sharp glint in her eyes, I will not apologize for speaking my truth. Not to headlines. Not to expectations. Not to anyone. A collective gasp escapes the audience. Whoopi pauses, her expression a mixture of surprise and grudging respect. There's a fleeting silence, the kind of pause that makes every viewer at home hold their breath. Then Whoopi laughs softly, a low, almost approving chuckle. All right, Kristen. Fair enough. You've made your point. Loud and clear. I can respect that. The energy in the studio shifts again, but this time it's different. Less combative, more charged with admiration. The audience bursts into applause, some standing, some clapping furiously, some still processing what they've just witnessed. The tension hasn't vanished. It's transformed into a celebration of honesty, courage, and the raw power of speaking one's truth, no matter the stakes. Kristen leans back, her gaze sweeping the audience, then resting on Whoopi. There's an unspoken understanding between them now, forged in the heat of confrontation. The cameras capture every moment, every reaction, every nuance, knowing that these frames will circulate across social media, news outlets, and fan discussions for weeks to come. The room is alive, vibrating with the aftershocks of what just happened. Kristen Stewart has not only defended her truth, she has challenged authority, disrupted expectations, and reminded the world that celebrity is human, flawed, and fiercely resilient. Whoopi Goldberg, a titan of television, has met that challenge head-on, and in doing so, revealed a rarely seen side of her own humanity. This is the climax. The confrontation has reached its apex. The sparks have flown, and as the cameras pan across the audience, wide-eyed, whispering, applauding, it's clear that the fallout is only just beginning. Headlines will be written, clips will be shared, debates will ignite. Every word, every gesture, every pause has left a mark. The studio lights dim slightly as the applause slowly fades, but the energy in the room hasn't dissipated. It lingers, thick and electric, as if the air itself remembers every word, every glance, every unspoken challenge that passed between Kristen Stewart and Whoopi Goldberg. The audience remains perched in their seats, still processing the gravity of what they've just witnessed. Some are whispering to neighbors, replaying phrases in their minds. Some are frozen, eyes wide, mouths slightly agape, caught in the raw immediacy of the moment. Outside the studio, the moment has already exploded across social media. Clips of Kristen's defiant, unflinching statements circulate within minutes, shared with captions that range from admiration to shock to outright debate. Memes emerge almost instantly. Kristen's piercing gaze, Whoopi's rare pause of surprise, the tension palpable in every frame. Hashtags trend, fans dissect every word, and commentators on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok weigh in, some praising Kristen's courage, others defending Whoopi's decades of experience. It's a wildfire, a digital frenzy that no PR team could ever manufacture. Inside the studio, Kristen sits back in her chair, the faintest smirk of satisfaction tugging at her lips. Her usually reserved demeanor has softened slightly, not with relief, but with quiet triumph. She knows she spoke her truth, without compromise, without bowing to expectation. She looks toward Whoopi, who, despite the clash, gives a small, acknowledging nod. There's respect now, hard-earned, mutual, and undeniable. The audience begins to rise, some clapping again, others cheering softly, but all caught in the aftermath of witnessing something extraordinary. Cameras pan across the room, capturing the faces of people who came expecting a standard interview and left seeing a battle of wills, a collision of authenticity, and a testament to what happens when one refuses to be silenced. The co-hosts exchange glances, a mixture of relief and awe on their faces. This isn't just television anymore, it's a cultural moment. The tension has transformed into conversation, debate, and introspection. Kristen's words, her unapologetic stance, have challenged viewers to think differently about fame, authenticity, and the pressure that comes with being constantly scrutinized. Back on social media, journalists rush to publish stories, capturing every nuance of the confrontation. Headlines range from Kristen Stewart claps back at Whoopi Goldberg in fiery live interview to The View Live, when words became weapons and shields. Fans dissect body language, analyze vocal tone, and debate the underlying truths of the exchange. Clips are replayed, paused, and shared endlessly. The moment has become iconic, not just for its drama, but for the rare, unfiltered honesty that resonated universally. In interviews following the broadcast, Kristen speaks calmly, yet with the same conviction. I just wanted to be heard. That's all. To be seen for who I am, not what people think I am. It was never about winning or losing. It was about speaking honestly, in a place where that can often be difficult. Whoopi, too, addresses the incident with measured reflection. Kristen reminded us all why we have to listen, even when it's uncomfortable. It's a powerful moment, and I respect that. The viewers at home are still buzzing, sharing their own stories, their own struggles, finding echoes of Kristen's words in their lives. It's more than a television moment. It's a movement, a reminder that courage and truth, when spoken boldly, can ripple far beyond the room in which they occur. The cameras pull back, capturing the full studio now, the set bathed in warm, golden light, the audience still murmuring, the hosts settling into a more reflective silence. The sense of closure is tentative, because the echoes of this confrontation will linger in hearts, conversations, and social media feeds for days, weeks, and months to come. And now, this is your moment too. What do you think of Kristen Stewart's unapologetic stand? How do you feel about the clash between raw honesty and seasoned authority? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for Stage View and turn on notifications, because we bring you the most explosive, dramatic, and unforgettable celebrity stories, live and unfiltered. This is not just a story of confrontation. It's a story of truth, courage, and the power of speaking your reality, even when the world expects silence. Remember, the stage may end, the cameras may stop rolling, but the conversation doesn't. Join it, share it, and never stop questioning what you see versus what you feel.